Mr. Speaker, on Wednesday evening, I attended a premiere of the new film, Unplanned, which opens this weekend. The movie is an extraordinary, well-written, well-directed, and well-acted. Ashley Bratcher is spectacular as Abby Johnson, the key character in the film. Unplanned tells the largely untold story, a very difficult story, and is packed with insight and a profoundly important message that America and the world needs to hear. Based on the life of Abby Johnson and her book Unplanned, the film chronicles Ms. Johnson's work at Planned Parenthood as a student activist, followed by almost 8 years at a large Planned Parenthood clinic in Texas, where over 20,000 abortions were performed. Working as a counselor and then as actual director of that clinic, Abby says 10 minutes of participation in an ultrasound-guided abortion shook the foundation of her values and changed the course of her life. She writes in the book, which is powerfully portrayed in the film, "The details startled me. At 13 weeks, you can clearly see the profile of the head, both arms and legs, and even tiny fingers and toes. With my eyes glued to the image of this perfectly formed baby, I watched as the new image emerged on the video screen." She says the cannula, a straw-shaped instrument attached to the end of a suction tube, had been inserted into the uterus and was nearing the baby's side. It looked like an invader, she says, on the screen, out of place, wrong. It just looked wrong. She goes on to write, and you can see this portrayed on the screen. "My heart sped up. Time slowed. I didn't want it to stop to look. I didn't want to stop looking either. At first, the baby didn't seem aware of the cannula. The next moment was a sudden jerk of the tiny foot of the baby as he started kicking, as if trying to get away from the probing invader. As the cannula pressed on and pressed in, the baby began struggling to turn and to twist away. And then the doctor's voice broke through, startling me," she said. "Beam me up, Scotty," telling the assistant to turn on the suction. The abortion clinic director went on to write, "I had a sudden urge to yell, 'Stop!' to shake the woman and say, 'Look at what's happening to your baby. Wake up, hurry, stop.' But even as I was thinking those words, I thought of my own hand and saw my own hand holding the probe. I was one of them performing this act of abortion." Again, her eyes shot back to the screen, and she writes, "The cannula was already being rotated by the doctor. Now I could see the tiny body violently twisting with it. For the briefest moment, it looked as if the baby was being wrung like a dishcloth, twirled and squeezed. And then the little body crumpled and began disappearing into the cannula before my eyes. The last thing I saw was the tiny, perfectly formed backbone sucked into the tube. Then everything was gone. The image of that tiny dead baby mangled and sucked away kept replaying in my mind," Abby Johnson writes. "What was in the woman's womb just a moment ago was alive. It wasn't tissue. It wasn't cells. This was a human baby fighting for life. A battle was lost in the blink of an eye." She writes in the book, "What I have told people for years as a Planned Parenthood leader, what I believed and taught and defended, is a lie." Mr. Speaker, someday, future generations of Americans will look back on us and wonder how and why such a rich and seemingly enlightened society, so blessed and endowed with the capacity to protect and enhance vulnerable human life, the weakest and the most vulnerable, could have insisted so aggressively promoted death to children by abortion. They will demand to know why dismembering a child like the one that Abby Johnson witnessed, or pulverizing an infant, or chemically poisoning a baby with any number of toxic chemicals, failed to elicit empathy or mercy or compassion for these victims. No one is expendable or a throwaway, Mr. Speaker. Every human life has infinite value. Birth is merely an event. It is not the beginning of life. Abortion is violence against children, and it is violence against women. The movie, Unplanned, not only moved me, as I believe it will move others, But it also inspired me, as I believe it will inspire others, to care even more for both victims of abortion, the mother and the child, to love them both, to reach out to post-abortive women. And there are ministries all over this country that say, yes, an abortion has been procured, but we love you, and we want to see you reconciled and find peace and joy again. And this movie makes clear that we need to continue to reach out to the people inside the abortion industry in the sincere hope that they, like Abby Johnson, will recognize that there is nothing compassionate, benign, or nurturing about abortion. Abby Johnson has formed a ministry, a non-governmental organization. It's called Then and Then There Was None. It's designed to assist abortion clinic workers out of the industry. To date, approximately or over 500 abortion clinic workers have left that field of work because of what they've realized they are doing inside that building, including 7 abortion doctors who now nurture life rather than kill it. Abby Johnson is a courageous, selfless woman who spreads truth. She speaks truth to power. It is an amazing movie,